course, as always, if something, doesn't feel good in your body, there's no need to push yourself to do anything that doesn't feel great. Of course, we want to like come and um, leave feeling supported, feeling better than we did before, hopefully. And so once you come into tabletop pose, just hands and knees, go ahead and just spread your fingers a little bit wider than maybe they would naturally land, or at least like bring your awareness there. So you really start to press into the pads of your fingers. If you need to, soften the elbows, right? Rather than locking them out. Once you soften the elbows, then start to drive the shoulder blades. I'm very specific here. So start to think about your shoulder blades. And rather than your ears your shoulders drawing up towards your ears, right? Rather than your shoulder blades being in that position, I mean, to think about the bottom tips of your shoulder blades almost gliding down your back as you reach the crown of your head further forward. And then once you're there, bring your right ear over to the right, just a little stretch in the side of the neck. And then come back to center and then left ear over to the left. If you're like me, you hold a lot of tension in the neck, so then maybe you start to drop the head and move it around in a circle. And so just taking a little bit of time here in both directions, maybe to create movement in the head and the neck, so you're not here too long. And start to then give your wrists a break. So walk your hands up your thighs and rise up onto your knees for a moment. Interlace your fingers and make one big fist with your hands here. Yes. And then think about an infinity symbol. Start to trace that infinity symbol with your knuckles, right? So you're just starting to warm up the wrists and you move the wrists in all different directions. And if it feels okay, you can take that big fist with your hands up overhead here. So you're on your knees and maybe even look up towards your hands. Take one big breath in as you stretch a little taller. And then as you exhale, release the hands down back into tabletop pose. And on your next inhale, start to drop your belly and lift your chin, lift your face for cow pose, and your tailbone will rise. And then on your exhale, start to round your upper back and drop your head so the back of your neck lengthens. One more like that. Inhale to find cow. And exhale to find cat. So nice. And then start to send your right leg behind you. Now you can either let it float hip height, or if you want a little more stability, grounding, balance, your big toe can touch the ground, or even your toes tuck under here. And if that leg is lifted, you want to play with a little bit of core work, a little bit of balance, you can reach your left hand forward. So it's just a little spinal balance here. Take a breath in and out. Drop your left hand down. And now we all tuck our toes under and press back with your right heel. So you get that stretch in the calf. And start to spin your right heel down towards the ground. And you can even send your left foot over to the left. So a little like kickstand here. And you can reach your right arm up to the sky. So lots of rights and lefts. And reach your right arm, right fingertips forward. Take one more big breath in here to feel the right side of your body get a little bit longer. And then you'll slowly rise all the way up. So keep the legs as they are. Arms can come out like a T. Drop the right hand down the leg. Reach your left hand up to the sky. So now you get a little more length in the left side. And you'll slowly start to come back down. Bring your hands down. So find that three-legged tabletop again. So send your right leg behind you, let it float. Now use your own time here to just step your right foot outside your right hand. Sometimes you have to like wiggle walk it there. If you have blocks, sometimes it's nice to rise up on the blocks. Just coming into a lizard pose. A little stretch in the hips. You can rock the hips forward, maybe even lift the chin, lift the face. And then as you exhale, start to pull your hips back and maybe consider picking up your right toes off the ground for a stretch in the hamstring. So that right leg doesn't even have to be straight here. It can still be bent. Take a breath in to rock forward gently into lizard. Rock back for the hamstring stretch. Start to rock back forward into lizard. Now, your back toes, your left toes, turn them over towards the right side. And wiggle walk that right foot, front foot, a little bit over to the left for support. And you'll come up to a modified warrior two. Kind of nice. You're like still on the ground. And you start to reverse your warrior here. So right hand will reach up, left hand drops down. If you want a little added stretch, maybe the right forearm drapes over the top of the head and think about that right elbow lifting higher. And then start to bring your right forearm to your right thigh. Reach the left hand up overhead, like you're leaning forward. It's called a side angle pose, but of course it's a modified. Take one more breath in. So nice. Back to that modified warrior two. Start to come back tabletop pose. Take a breath in to find cow pose, lifting the chest and the tailbone. Exhale, round into cat pose. Back to a neutral spine. Now it's the left leg that kicks back. Either let it float hip height or touch the ground with the toes. If you want a little added challenge, right hand can reach forward just to access the muscles in the center of your body. Take one more big breath in. And then the right hand can drop down. Now the left toes tuck under wherever you are and press the left heel back for that stretch. Start to spin the left heel down. Now it's the right foot that can come back behind you a bit, like the little kickstand. Left hand, reach it up and then reach it forward. So that long side stretch to the left. Take one more big breath in to find it. And exhale to rise up with your arms out like a T. Left hand drops down, right arm will rise. Really find now the length in between the right ribs. And start to bring your hands back down to that three-legged tabletop. So that left leg will lift up behind you, let it float. In your own time, left foot comes outside the left hand. Finding lizard pose. So just a little lunge. You'll start to rock your hips slightly forward, maybe lift the chin or look straight ahead. And then as you exhale, pull your hips back. You can pick the left toes up. Just a little bit of movement back and forth. Rock forward on the inhale. Pull back on the exhale. Now rock forward on the inhale. Your back foot, your right foot, send it over to the left side. Wiggle walk that left foot in a bit towards your center line. Rise up to that modified warrior two. Once you're there, right hand drops down, left arm will rise. You can look up. Maybe drape the forearm over the head. Maybe tip a little bit more over to the right. And then your left forearm comes to your left thigh, right arm alongside your ear. And if you need to bend the elbow, of course, that's okay too. Just take one more breath in. Back to warrior two, that modified position. And then it's back to tabletop pose. One round of cat-cow. Breathe in to lift the chest. Breathe out to round through the back. Now, if you'd like, this is of course an option, you can tuck your toes, float your knees, and start to send your hips back and up, downward facing dog. So down dog does not mean that you have to have your arms alongside your ears, right? So if that's too much for the muscles across the chest, you can start to just bend your knees a lot here and maybe even just think about hovering the knees. And then taking this opportunity to just let the head hang, maybe shake yes and no, open and close the jaw a few times. And then take the feet a little bit wider apart. Bend the knees even more and start to walk your hands back towards your feet. So you land in this forward fold. And if that means you have to separate your feet even more to feel that release, that ease in the low back, of course, take that. Now, I like to keep knees bent here so you can really feel gravity doing some work. Like feeling the release, like I said, in the low back, back in the neck, softening in the face. And then you'll slowly, slowly, slowly rise all the way up to standing. If you need to, heel toe your feet a little bit closer together. Maybe bring one hand to your belly, one hand to the center of your chest. You can keep your eyes open, or if it helps to close your eyes, if it helps to draw inward, you can do that as well. We're just going to take a moment here in stillness, just standing to connect with your breath. We often do that when we're seated or lying down. So just notice what it feels like whenever you're upright. Take a breath in. Slow exhale out. Maybe that's out through the mouth, like a sigh. And do that 2 more times. Slow breath in. Long exhale out. One more, breathing in. Clearing out. You could stay here, of course, as long as you need to. And when you're ready, you can blink your eyes open and maybe bring your hands to your heart center just to think of this physical center line. And we'll shift your weight into your left foot to start. And we're coming into tree pose. So your right foot can either come to your ankle, if that feels the most stable. Maybe it comes to the inside of your calf muscle. If you want, your right foot can even come up to your inner thigh, but of course that's not a requirement. I like to feel super grounded in this pose. So sometimes I even bring my right big toe to the ground for support. And then notice where your shoulders land in space. Maybe it takes that inhale to shrug the shoulders up, and then the exhale to draw them slightly back and down, creating a little more length then through the top of the head, a little more length in the sides of the neck. And if you want an added challenge, maybe fingertips will rise, your hands will reach up. Last breath in and release. Take a moment, maybe shake out the legs, roll the shoulders, roll the wrists. And you'll switch to the other side. So it's the right foot that grounds, the left foot that rises. I like to start right at my heart center. Sometimes I'll stay. And it helps to find one steady point in front of you to keep your eyes focused on. You might notice that one side might even feel more balanced than the other. Just take note of that. Observe it. If you want to reach the arms up, go for it. Know that you are doing work no matter what shape you're in. Take one more full breath in and release. Come back to that mountain pose. So this time you'll flip the palms forward, arms down along your sides, root down through your feet. Take a moment just of like presence. Take a full inhale. Bigger exhale. And start to reach your arms up on a breath in. And then start to sit back into chair pose. Fiery pose here. It's like you're sitting in a chair that unfortunately is not there. And your arms can be here. If that's too much, you can start to make goalposts with the arms or even hands to your hips, right? All options, even hands at your heart. So many options. Take one more big breath in just to create a little more strength in the legs. And then as you exhale, fold forward. Think like you're folding your belly towards your thighs. Your knees can stay bent. Maybe the feet separate. Take a halfway lift here. So hands to your shins or your thighs, chest forward. And then when you're ready, you can walk your hands forward, come back to that downward facing dog, nice and slow. You can rise up to your toes when you're ready and drop your knees back down to the ground, returning to tabletop. Take a breath in to find cow, a breath out to find cat. And take a few more rounds of that on your own. So if that feels really good, moving through those two shapes, and or even just matching movement with breath, continue at your own pace. If you'd like to add in a little more movement laterally, you can start to find that C curve side to side. If you'd like to move a little more in a circle, think of your navel, right? And you would send your navel towards 12 o'clock a little bit. So you'd rock forward towards the top of your mat. And then you would create that circle moving to 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and then back to 12. So maybe taking a few movements like that, and then letting your spine move in any direction that feels good along the way. So really no like prescriptive movement, just starting to observe maybe the sensations that happen along the way. Take one more round of breath and meet me in a seat. You'll swing your legs around. Just one pose here. Take your feet together, your knees out wide. So that Baddha Konasana pose, you can grab onto your ankles, maybe onto your shins. So you can feel like you're sitting upright first. So the crown of your head rises on the inhale. And you'll tip forward. Maybe then walk your hands to your toes or let your hands just drape. And then you can start to let your head drape forward as you round. And you're not here long, just 3 big breaths, intentional breaths in and out. 2 more in and out. Last one here, fill all the way up and empty. Excellent. You'll start to rise up. So you can either take, if you have a pillow, that might be a really nice thing to have right behind you. We're going to lie back onto it. So you can use that pillow lengthwise of your spine, right? So it'll be long behind you on your mat. You can use that pillow. If you don't have a pillow, you can use a block. If you have 2 blocks, that would be like even better. But this block can come right where it'll be on the bottom half of your shoulder blades, right? So you're essentially starting to create a little ramp or a place for your heart to be a little bit higher or elevated. So you're going to lie back onto that pillow, right? So it may not even be that high up, but you start to have your chest elevated enough that you get a little bit of a stretch in the shoulders if you let your arms come out like a T, right? So it's not like you're just on the ground with your arms like a T. You have a little bit of a stretch here. Now, if that stretch is too intense across the chest as you open the arms wide and the palms are facing up, you can start to bring the elbows closer towards the body and let the forearms rest. If this is not agreeing with your spine or the muscles in your chest at all, you can, of course, ditch that pillow and find more grounding with your spine on the earth. Okay. So once you are there, get yourself comfy. Make sure that the pillow is in a spot that feels good. Make sure your low back feels like it is at that right angle where you can soften a bit. And you can keep your knees bent, your feet grounded, or if you're craving to take the legs long in front of you, of course you can do that. My low back feels most supported with my knees bent and feet down, but we are all created differently. So make sure the back of your head is supported in some fashion and take a full breath in. Open up your mouth. On your exhale, see if you can sink into that support underneath you. Do that 2 more times. Breathe in and out. Two more in, or one more rather, maybe 2 more. And out. And see if you can close your eyes if you haven't already. As you exhale, continue to invite in with every single exhale a little more ease. Using the inhale to fill up, the exhale to soften. And using your breath as this tool, again, as always, we talk about using our breath as the tool that we have no matter where we are. Whether we're on a yoga mat or teaching a room full of children, or trying to fall asleep or ease our mind, even just a little. We have these moments or you might feel off center or ungrounded. We can always access our breath, even just for a simple inhale and an ease-filled exhale. Again, breathe in, expand, and breathe out, soften. You can stay with your heart elevated here, or if you'd like to take these last few moments completely grounded on your mat, you can roll off to the side. Remove that pillow, maybe put it under your head. You feel the block that can also go under your head if that feels right. Maybe your hands come to your torso where you can physically feel the breath rise and fall. Coming back to that mantra, breathing in to expand, breathing out to find ease. About 3 to 5 more rounds on your own. Over your next breath or two, and start to wiggle the toes and the fingers. You can even rock the head gently side to side. In your own time, you can let the knees fall to one side and roll onto that side. Make your way up to a seat. And you are there sitting up tall, chest broadening as you breathe in. Ease on your exhale. You can bring your hands together in front of your heart, maybe even bow your chin towards that space just for a moment to again draw inward, honor yourself for making the time to show up, to breathe, to move, create a little more space. And maybe you choose to fill that space with a little more breath or the ease that can come with an intention.